Hello, hello, hello. I'm back. And this time I found some resources for Newt to Linux users. This site is freecomputerbooks.com and we're under the Unix/Linux category. Now, if you click on these, you can try shell scripting, programming, BSD free BSD-C programming. Let's go down to shell scripting. That's what I'm trying to learn here lately. Now these will show you books and resources, and unfortunately it keeps popping up that. Alright. Download links, there we go. And we got the Linux command line, 5th Internet Edition by William Schatz. Schatz, I hope. Alright, scrolling down here, we got the introduction, why use the command line, and part 1, learning the shell, what is the shell, terminal emulators. I would go ahead and go to that site and give it a try. And that would be freecomputerbooks.com and then the Linux command line. And on our next one is programming-books.io. And you got Essentials of Go, Essentials C++, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, C, Python, Batch, Git. If you ever wanted to, pick up a thing or two about programming, that's not Linux specific, but figured I'd throw that one in there. And this one is the linuxjourney.com. You have the Grasshopper, which is the first 8 in the first section. And you have the Journeyman. And the last one is the Networking Nomad. And this one is linuxnewbieguide.org. Now, if you check out the right side, and there's some tips, categories, how-tos, how to install CAN board on Ubuntu. Wasn't expecting that. How to disable recently used files. How to man a Mac OS APFS disk volume in Linux. And on and on and on. And it's foss.com/learn Linux for free. I'll put all the links in the description below. Now this one will take you to books that you can download and read at your leisure. The reason I'm primarily doing this channel is to help Windows users who are thinking about switching to Linux. The reason I'm doing this is for people who are thinking about switching to Linux, to help them have a more informed decision on it, because I've seen videos from other YouTubers trying to make the switch to Linux and it ends up badly, and then they talk about this didn't work, and this really didn't work, and they're trying to be nice about it. Now the developers should, take out their notebooks, write down the complaints, and see if there's anything they can do about it. That's just my opinion on that. But it also falls on you, the new user, to do your own due diligence when you're thinking about switching. As an analogy, because of how technology is, and it's permeated pretty much every aspect of our life. So switching from one operating system to the next is kind of a big deal. If you go buy a laptop or a desktop with Linux on there, that's a major purchase. Now, keep that in mind. If you were to buy a house and you're buying it from the owner, okay? I mean, it's a perfect house. You're like, oh man, I've always wanted a house like that. Da, 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 da. And look, it's $20,000 cheaper than the market. I gotta have it. You rush in there, you put your bid on there, and you get the house. Sign papers, and the papers in, and after you get in there, you get that knock on the door. You open the door and, hey, you owe $80,000. And you're like, what? Well, in America, if you don't check, if you don't check the house and the property for back owed loans, like on cars, property taxes, unpaid property taxes, the bank or the government can come in and take the property from you because you didn't do your own due diligence and see if the property was free and clear. So that's why I'm doing this, is to help people understand that Linux is not Windows. I mean, sure, you can do a lot with Linux and make it look like Windows, have the workflow on the surface behave like Windows, but it's not Windows. The file system is completely different. The way you do things is different, like installing software. I mean, sure, you have your GUI applications that assist you to do it, but in the background, it's doing it in a different way. Now, if you have like a soundboard, a USB soundboard, a mixing board, or something like that, Linux does not have a lot of support for those. There's only a few, I'd say about maybe a dozen or so, I'm not exactly sure, boards and mixers that it actually supports and has drivers for. So I would check that out. And if you have LEDs and you just have to have LEDs, there are programs that do work, but there's not a huge list. I mean, there's a lot on there, but it's not like Windows where everything is developed for Windows. So check and see if your hardware works. If you've got a bleeding edge computer, you may not have drivers for that yet. So if you have a computer like within that's 2 years, 2 to 3 years, it more than likely has drivers for it. Now, laptops are a problem because there are certain chipsets for the Wi-Fi cards that Linux does not have the drivers for. Don't quote me on this, but I think Broadcom does work. And there's another 2 that don't. They're based off of them. But anywho's, yeah, find out the specs of your systems and just check it out and see if it works before you try it. Or at least before you install it. You can try it out with a USB and see if everything works. And if it doesn't work, then I'd wait. Unless you have an older system that you want to install it on and use it for that to bring new life back to it. Or you could always go to to like your secondhand store, like we have like St. Vincent de Paul here and Goodwill. Now you can go to one of those places and buy an older computer out of the box. Very little to no issues at all, depending on the distribution that you do decide to download and install it for. Excuse me. Jeez. Anyways, now you can buy Linux pre-installed on systems that have been checked out and that Linux is known to work on because they optimize it for their systems. One such place is here we go. System 76. That's one. They're located here in the States. Tuxedo Computers. HP has a HP Dev 1. And there's a couple others that I can't think of. I know the KDE Neon has partnered with Lenovo, and you can get a installation of KDE on one of their laptops too. But anywho, I hope some of this was informational for you, and I will put the links down below, and I'll think about it and come up with a list of Linux friendly systems for you also. Put that down there too. So I guess I'll see you next time. You guys had to take it easy. It's hot here again. We got another heat wave, so I'll talk to you later. You guys take it easy.